Okay, thanks for being patient through the technical difficulties. Good morning and welcome to the Good morning and welcome to the Morning Breath live stream where we start our day with coherence. I'm your host, Jeremy Tennell, systems designer and coherence coach. This is week 11, day 54 of our 14-week journey entitled The Path to Personal Transformation. Today, we're bringing this conversation into a deeper place. All week, we've explored how the ego gravitates towards identity, how it organizes trauma, how some identities quietly reproduce suffering, and every identity bears fruit. This morning, we're going deeper than the identity itself, beneath the ego, the conditioning, the survival patterns, the performance. There is something far more fundamental, something quieter, eternal, something more coherent. And the deeper call of transformation is not to perform or perfect the ego, but to know our true self is beyond the ego altogether. Today's lesson, today's lesson is this. You are a deeper being than the Let's try it again. Today's lesson is this. You are a deeper being than the ego allows you to see. The ego wants identity. The deeper self wants coherence. The ego wants protection. The deeper self wants truth. The ego wants control. The deeper self wants alignment. The ego wants certainty. The deeper self desires presence. And that is important. The goal is not to destroy the ego. It's doing its job. The goal is to stop becoming possessed by it. Because most people are not living from the deepest parts of themselves. They're living from conditioned survival patterns, fear and reaction, social programming, unprocessed pain, and inherited identities. Over time, the noise becomes so constant that people forget there is something deeper beneath it. You may have known it as a child because it was only place where you knew to live from. The ego wasn't fully developed. And through practice, through self-awareness and self-reflection, self-regulation, and ongoing self-inquiry, we begin returning to coherence with the deeper self below the surface. I think many people have had moments where they briefly sensed that there was something deeper inside of them. Moments of stillness, moments in nature, moments of grief, during meditation or breath work, moments where the constant noise quieted enough for something more, something real to emerge. Not louder, quieter, a deeper awareness, an honesty, a presence, a feeling that beneath all the roles and the labels and the stress, beneath the fear and the performance, there was something more whole, more grounded, more alive within. But then life speeds up again, and the mind starts talking again. The nervous system reactivates, and the ego grabs the microphone. And suddenly, we're back inside reactivity and identity, comparison, fear and anxiety, urgency and performance, and emotional noise. And this is why practice matters, because coherence is not something we think ourselves into. It's something we repeatedly return to through practice. The ego is not the deepest part of you. It is a structure, a psychological interface. a survival-oriented identity system, and for many people, the ego developed under pressure. It learned how to protect and perform and avoid pain, how to gain approval or anticipate danger or threat. It learned how to survive. But survival is not the same thing as coherence. And eventually, the deeper self begins calling us beyond survival. Not because survival is wrong, but because survival alone cannot bring peace or life. The ego can protect us from pain while simultaneously disconnecting us from living. The ego can protect us from rejection while isolating us from love. The ego can protect us from vulnerability while keeping us emotionally imprisoned. And the ego can protect us from uncertainty while disconnecting us from growth. Eventually, the deeper self asks, what if I am more than the patterns I inherited? What if I am deeper than the fear I adapted around? What if I am more than the identity I built to survive? That question changes everything. Because transformation begins when awareness becomes stronger than automated identity. The deeper self is not built through performance. It is uncovered through practice. And this is where many people misunderstand transformation. They think growth means becoming someone else, someone new. But often, real transformation is remembering who existed beneath the conditioning all along. Beyond the social mask or the defensive self, beyond the performed self and the wounded. The deeper self is below the noise. And the path towards coherence requires practice because the ego is deeply conditioned. The nervous system has grooves, and the mind has habits, and the body has memory. The emotional system holds its loops, and the ego has momentum. So the deeper self is not accessed once. It is practiced into embodiment. And this is why. Self-awareness, self-reflection, self-regulation, and ongoing self-inquiry matter so deeply. Not as self-help techniques, but as pathways back into coherence. From a systems perspective, the ego is a conditioned adaptive structure. It is built through experience and feedback, and environment and relationship, conditioning and survival. Over time, the ego becomes the dominant operating pattern. And if left unconscious, the system organizes around protection and quick reaction, identity reinforcement, and fear-based loops. But coherence practices interrupt those loops. Self-awareness interrupts automaticity. Self-awareness interrupts automaticity. Reflection quiets unconscious narratives. Breath calms activation. Regulation disrupts reactive behavior. Inquiry derails rigid identity. And over time, the system reorganizes itself, not around fear or performance or survival, but into deeper alignment. It is what coherence actually is, not perfection or positivity, alignment between awareness and nervous system, behavior and values. Your embodied presence. The fragmented self begins returning to relationship with itself. Culturally, we are surrounded by systems designed to strengthen the ego. Everything pulls attention outward, constant stimulation and comparison, ongoing performance, and the branding of self constant pressure to construct an identity. Because of this, many people spend their lives cultivating image without ever developing coherence. The world teaches peace. The world teaches people how to appear successful, but rarely teaches them how to become internally aligned. So people become externally optimized and internally fragmented. They know how to perform confidence without feeling grounded. They know how to project identity without knowing themselves. This is what imposter syndrome is. They can appear connected while feeling profoundly alone. And this is why returning inward matters, not as isolation or escapism, but as reconnection. Because without relationship, the deeper self, because without relationship to the deeper self, people become vulnerable to every external force. Algorithms, culture, fear, anxiety, ideology, comparison, and emotional contagions. The ego is programmable, but coherence is stable. Today, I want you to find some time with your journals. Sit down and explore these questions. What parts of my identity feel conditioned, reactive, or survival-based? Who might I be beneath these patterns if I continued practicing coherence? Who am I beneath the conditioning and the fear, the reaction, the identity? Because you are deeper, because you are a deeper being than the ego allows you to see. And the path towards the deeper self is not achieved through performance. It is practiced through coherence. So let's move into our breath work this morning. And let's continue to develop these concepts of coherence and resilience. Let's find a comfortable seat. Sit up straight. Roll your shoulders back. Let's take a deep inhale. Exhale with a sigh. Again. And exhale with a sigh. And inhale through your nose for about 6 seconds. Out through your mouth for about 6. In. Out. In. Out. Continue that breath pattern. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable, or just lower your gaze. Continue that breath pattern as we go. As we go along, what I want you to do is I want you to just let whatever thoughts come pass. Just let them move through. And slowly, quietly, as you breathe that pattern in through your nose, out through your mouth, I want you to disconnect from the thoughts. Let them pass and dip below the surface. just below the thoughts. Let them move over you. And just allow yourself to float below them. Keep breathing. And when you bob back up to the surface and reconnect, allow yourself to disconnect again. Keep breathing. It's okay if you keep connecting back to your thoughts. The experiment here is to experiment with those small moments of disconnection and moving deeper. There is an infinite ocean that you're swimming in, and you exist at the surface. But your true self exists under your feet, below you. Breathe in. Breathe out. Below what you identify with, below the you that your ego has attached itself to, below the thoughts streaming at the surface. Just feel the quiet just below that surface. Practice on your own for a moment. Stay with it. Let's inhale through our nose and exhale with our mouth with a sigh. Return to this space. If this resonates, stay with the work. Because coherence is not something you achieve once. It's something you will practice daily. And every time you return to awareness, you strengthen relationship with the deeper self within you. The ego is not the deepest part of you. And through practice, you begin remembering who you were beneath all the conditioning. Take a breath. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 5:30.